What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the stack. Welcome back to video before. I'm tHe Mushroom, and today we've got Not Your Scheduled Programming. I'm playing Modern at a local game store in Michigan. I recorded it and then I edited it, and it's going to be here on YouTube for you, and it's going to be something I do more often, and you can't stop me because I work here. But I have a question before I get into what deck I'm playing. I asked this question to the guys at the local game store I play, and the vote was unanimous. I'm not going to say which side the vote was unanimous to, because I don't want to influence you, but I'm really interested in what you guys, the current subscriber base, want to see. So this video is going to be me playing one set, one match, one best of 3 game in a 4-round tournament setting at one of my local game stores. It's going to be round 1. Now, the way this is going to be done is this video is round 1, then I'll upload another video for round 2, 3, and 4, and ideally that's like a weekly thing, and it's this nice extra piece of content we can deliver to you guys. Would you prefer that, what's happening now, or would you prefer that I hold the footage for a little bit and drop like a 30-35 minute supercut of the entire event? I really don't know what you guys want to see on your side. I know Susan Majiski would prefer that we upload like 4 extra videos a week on YouTube for like money reasons, but I genuinely want to know what you guys would prefer to see here, because most of our subscribers have been here for a long time. But with that out of the way, we're playing Murktide, Izzet Murktide, and this deck is a tempo deck, one of the better decks in Modern. For the uninitiated, what this is, what a tempo deck is really, and this is like one of the, what's the word for it, titular tempo decks. Am I using that correctly? I have no clue. But it's a deck that wants to establish a presence very early with cards like Dragon's Rage Channeler, Grey Aven, maybe a Ledger Shredder, has a ton of cantrips and efficient removal, some permission, and it wants to kind of pressure the opponent in the early game, disrupt them in the early mid game. I'm talking turns 2, 3, 4. And then after disrupting their game plan and applying some ample pressure, it wants to resolve an 8/8 with flying for 2 mana that can get bigger if more cards leave your graveyard. I'm talking about Murktide Regent. That's the namesake of the deck. If anyone is curious as to what the list is, it's going to be in the description below. This is my list, but it's only like 2 cards different from what is considered the staple, the base list for Murktide. It is very much a tier 1 meta deck. Mind you, there's going to be games 2, 3, and 4 to look forward to, but I'm not going to keep like playing the same deck. So if you guys have a deck that you'd like to see, maybe some of you already play Modern or follow Modern, definitely also let me know in the description below, because it turns out I can build almost every deck in Modern because I have a serious problem on spending money on cardboard. Anyway, that's enough for the intro. I hope I have no clue how long these are supposed to be. I'm taking notes. If you also, in terms of engaging in the comments, let me know what you think of the pacing, the video editing in general. This is my first time trying to do something like this, and quite frankly, I'm pretty happy with it, but I'm taking notes. This is the beginning of this. Hopefully it gets better from here, but that's everything you need to know. Let's play the Magic the Gathering Modern at LGS in paper in Michigan. Okay, round 1, we are playing a mirror match versus Bobby Coleman, and we are on the draw. We're going to keep a 7-card hand with Counterspell, Serum Visions, Unholy Heat, Steam Vents, Polluted Delta, Murktide Regent, and an Expressive Iteration, and Bobby mulligans to 6, but we don't really give a fuck what is in his hand. Oh, and do be prepared for some awful misplays. Game 1, I was having a stroke in the middle of our first match. Turn 1, Bobby's going to play a bauble and crack that bauble, targeting himself to look at the top card of his library, play an island, and pass the turn. Then I'll draw a card in my upkeep off of that bauble's trigger. I'm going to make him move his grave over to the other side so the board looks nicer, and just to generally inconvenience him. Then I'm going to play a Misty Rainforest fetch. That's going to bring me down to 19. I'll get a basic island, and I'll cast Serum Visions. Little did I know at this point Bobby had a Serum Visions and didn't cast it. What a dumbass. Anyway, I'm going to bottom both the cards after drawing off the Serum Visions, and then I'm going to pass the turn. Turn 2, opponent's just going to Serum Vision, draw a card, look at the top 2, and he still doesn't have a land. He could have avoided this if he just cast his Serum Visions on his first turn, but he didn't for some dumb reason, so he's just going to pass the turn to me, where I'm going to play a Polluted Delta and pass the turn right back. Bobby finally finds a land and shocks into Steam Vents, his 2nd land on his 3rd turn, dropping to 18 life, and plays a Ledger Shredder. In response, I will fetch, shock into Steam Vents of my own, dropping to 16, cast Counterspell on the Shredder, and he will pass the turn to me, where I will shock into Steam Vents again, dropping to 14, play my own Ledger Shredder, and then pass the turn. Bobby plays an island and follows it up with another Ledger Shredder, and then a Mishra's Bauble, which triggers both of our Ledger Shredders. Mine fires off first, and I'm going to make the first of many mistakes this game. I discard an Expressive Iteration, which is a problem because I want to be on Delirium for this play, and I already have a Serum Visions in my graveyard, so another sorcery doesn't put me on Delirium. I'd have to actually discard the Murktide Regent to do that, but I didn't do that. Lucky for me, I realized how stupid that mistake was just in time, because I was about to cast Unholy Heat targeting Bobby's Shredder, thinking I was on Delirium. It would normally deal 6 if I wasn't Delirium, but it would only deal 2, leaving his Ledger Shredder alive, but we didn't do that. Now Bobby's Shredder will trigger. He's going to draw a card and discard a Dragon's Rage Channeler, which is going to grow his Shredder. Then Bobby's going to crack his Mishra's Bauble targeting himself, and he'll play a Flooded Strand, which is like super illegal because he already played an island. I missed it because I'm too busy self-loathing over my stupid mistake, and he probably just forgot. Then he passes the turn. I'm going to shock in a Steam Vents, dropping to 12, and attack Bobby for 2. He takes it, dropping to 16. Then I'm going to pass, but at the end of my turn, Bobby's going to fetch for a tap Steam Vents, dropping down to 15. After that, he'll untap and attack me for 2 with his Shredder. I'll take it, dropping to 10. He'll play a Flooded Strand and pass the turn. Then I'm going to untap, cast Consider, but Bobby's going to Spell Pierce my Consider, and I will choose to let it get countered. I will not pay the 2. Then I'm going to play a Murktide, and I'm going to try to have it be a 7/7 by exiling 4 instants or sorceries, which triggers both Ledger Shredders, and Bobby's is up first. With my Ledger Shredder trigger on the stack, Bobby's going to use Archmage's Charm to try to counter my Murktide while it's on the stack, but I'm going to Spell Pierce in response to the Archmage's Charm, and we fuck something up big time here. Here's what happened. When he casts his Charm, that's actually his second spell for the turn, which means it's going to trigger both of our Shredders. Now, it's okay for me to respond here, but here's the problem. When I respond, we remember the Connive trigger, and for some reason, we both decide to actually connive first. That's not how it works here, but it happens. I pitch Murktide, Bobby pitches another Shredder, both of our Shredders get bigger. Then I'm going to try to pass the turn, but Bobby's going to fetch down to 11 for a tapped Steam Vents. Moving back to Bobby's turn, he's going to attack me for 4 with the Shredder. I'm going to block the Shredder with the Murktide. That's going to kill the Shredder, but it puts 4 damage on my Murktide. Bobby bolts my Murktide to finish it off and passes the turn, and then I comment, Bobby, I think this is where you just die. I think this is where you just die.
I think this is where I lose.
I attack him for 3 with my Shredder, dropping him to 8 and play a tap Spire Bluff Canal and pass the turn. Bobby's going to play a Scalding Tarn and just pass right back to me, so I'll attack him for 3, bring him to 5 and pass, but at my end step, Bobby will fetch for an island, dropping down to 4 life. Then Bobby's going to play DRC and pass the turn. I'm going to bolt the DRC. Bobby's going to counterspell the bolt, triggering the DRC and my Shredder. My Shredder fires off first. I'll discard Heat to the Shredder. Shredder's going to grow, and then I'm going to charm his Dragon's Rage Channeler to take control of it for the win. Moving into game 2, I am on the draw yet again, so I'm going to add in 2 Mystical Disputes, 1 Subtlety, 2 Unlicensed Hearse, and 1 Jace the Mind Sculptor from my sideboard, and I'm going to remove 2 counterspells, 2 Dragon's Rage Channelers, 1 Spell Pierce, and 1 Ragavan. I have no clue how Bobby sideboarded. The only thing I know for sure is that he probably did it wrong. My opener for game 2 is going to be a Consider, a Mishra's Bauble, a Mystical Dispute, an Island, a Subtlety, a Misty Rainforest, and a Ledger Shredder. Bobby keeps a 7-card hand this time and opens up on Spire Bluff Canal and plays Dragon's Rage Channeler. Then he plays Bauble, triggering the Channeler, and bins a counterspell to the trigger. Then he cracks the Bauble on me and passes the turn. In my upkeep, Bobby draws a card, and then I'm going to play a Misty Rainforest and pass the turn right back. Bobby's going to shock in a Steam Vents, dropping down to 18 and dash out a monkey. I'm going to pitch a Mystical Dispute to cast Subtlety on the monkey, and Bobby's going to put it on the bottom. Then he attacks me for 1, dropping me to 19 and passes the turn, but before he can, I'm going to fetch, shock, get a Steam Vents, drop to 16, cast Consider, and then I'll bin a counterspell and draw the card. Then we'll go to my turn, I'll play an Island, cast Ledger Shredder. Bobby's going to pitch cast his Subtlety. He's going to pitch a Shredder to it, and then I'm going to put the Ledger Shredder right back on top. I'll play a Bauble. I'm going to Bauble targeting Bobby and pass the turn. In Bobby's upkeep, I'll draw off of my Mishra's Bauble trigger, and he'll shock in a Steam Vents, dropping to 16, and attack me with his Dragon's Rage Channeler for 1, dropping me to 15, and he'll pass the turn. I'll drop a Scalding Tarn. I'll play a Ledger Shredder, then a Bauble, triggering my Ledger Shredder, but with the trigger on the stack, Bobby's going to Unholy Heat my Shredder. He is not on Delirium, but this cast is going to trigger his Dragon's Rage Channeler. He's going to look at the top card, put a Polluted Delta in the grave, making him delirious. Shredder dies. I'm going to pitch an Ottawa to the Shredder trigger, then I'll Bauble myself. I don't like the card, so I'm going to fetch for a Steam Vents and shock it in, dropping to 12, drop a Ragavan, and pass the turn. I draw off Bauble in Bobby's upkeep. He plays an Island and attacks me for 3. I take it, dropping to 9, and he passes the turn. Then I attack Bobby for 2 with my Ragavan, dropping him to 14, and Ragavan makes me a treasure token, which I somehow don't have any treasure tokens on me, so I use one of Bobby's weird, I don't know what TCG this is. But then he's going to flip an Unholy Heat to the Ragavan trigger. I cast the Unholy Heat hitting his DRC, play a tapped Steam Vents, and then pass the turn. The top deck king heats my monkey, and then he casts a Murktide as a 7/7. It resolves. He passes the turn. Then I'm going to bolt his Murktide for 3 damage and cast an Unholy Heat for 6 more. This is good enough to kill the Murktide Regent, and I pass. He's just going to play a Scalding Tarn and pass the turn right back to me. I'm going to slam a Jace the Mind Sculptor. Yeah, Nick, keep telling me this card's playable. I'm going to 0 the Jace to Brainstorm, drawing 3 cards, putting 2 back on top. I'll play a Scalding Tarn, try to pass, but before I can, Bobby will fetch for an Island, dropping to 13. 15. Bobby casts Serum Visions, then plays Scalding Tarn and passes the turn to me, but I will also fetch for an island. I'm gonna tick up Jace to 5 to Fate Seal Bobby. It's a consider, I'll let him keep it. Then I play Ledger Shredder and cast Expressive Iteration to trigger the Shredder. I have no hand, so I just bin the top card, and it's a land. I'll exile Murktide Regent to the Expressive Iteration, put a land in my hand, then I'll play that land. It's a Misty Rainforest, fetch down to 7 to get an island. I'll cast the Murktide as an 8/8 and pass the turn to Bobby, but before I can, he'll fetch an island, dropping to 12. Bobby draws his card, shows me that it's a Polluted Delta, and he scoops like a bitch.